Hey, fellow babies, welcome back to Pachter Factor Live on SIFTD.net. If you are a Patreon patron, thank you very much for your patronage. If you are a YouTube subscriber, we very much appreciate you keeping Shane in chips so he can keep making these shows, so thank you. Whether you are a patron or a subscriber or not, please remember to link your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch Prime account. There are instructions on how to do that in the show description below. It literally is a couple of clicks, but you have to redo it every month. So if you haven't done it for a while, please remember to do it. It's free. Amazon pays Shane and you pay nothing. You're already paying for this as part of your Prime subscription. So stick it to Amazon. It's free money. It's one of the perks you get for being a Prime subscriber. Takes a second, so please try to remember to do that. Let's get on to this week's Pachter Factor live topic, EA. And I'm going to paraphrase, is EA doomed? I think the question came in, is EA effed? I don't want to say that word on camera. Some of you may have seen that EA pre-announced earnings. That means that they got in front of their normally scheduled earnings release and they put out numbers that were different from what expectations were. And the practice in investing, investable companies, public companies, is if your results materially deviate from what you told investors to expect, above or below, you should pre-announce as soon as you are certain of that fact. Now, as it happens, on a regularly scheduled, pre-planned program, insiders were selling stock the week of the pre-announcement. I have a hunch that because their results were so bad for the December quarter, that their legal team told them they had to pre-announce it because insiders were selling, so they had to get the announcement out of the way and make the public aware. What did they pre-announce? They said that their sales would be down rather than up, and net about, call it $200 million, $250 million lower for the December quarter, so 2.1 billion or so instead of 2.4, so it's somewhere around $250 million. And then they proceeded to say they were also going to be down in the March quarter. They hadn't technically guided to that, but they had guided for the full year. Their year ends in March. And they had said that they were going to make about 600 million more, So split that 600 million, but they're down 600 million from what they told us to expect. And the reason that that was so momentous for the stock is that they had an analyst day in mid-September, I believe it was the 17th, and they had reported earnings last on October 29th, a couple days before Halloween. And they not only raised guidance in mid-September, but then they reaffirmed it October 29th. Now, October is one full month into the December quarter. So they had 1/3 of their revenues behind them when they gave us guidance, and everything was fine. Then apparently in November and December, things fell terribly and continued to fall in January, which required them to say the January, February, March quarter was going to be bad as well. All right, what was the reason for that? They blamed global football. That's their terminology for non-American football. So they have college football, which used to be called NCAA, they have Madden NFL, and then they have EA Sports Football Club, which used to be called FIFA. And under global football, that includes sales of the game, ongoing sales of FC Ultimate Team, so what used to be called FIFA Ultimate Team, FUT, and then any mobile games associated with soccer. So that unit, they had said would be up mid-single digits. That's about 5%. Let's just go with that. And they said it was trending down mid-single digits instead. To put that in perspective, the sports business overall is about $2.5 to $3 billion a year, and soccer is probably round numbers about 2 billion of that. So the global football piece is 2 billion. They thought it'd be up 100 million or so, 5%, and they say now it's going to be down 100 million or so, 5%. So wait a minute, that's a swing from 2.1 billion expected to 1.9 billion now expected. That's only 200 million. Why did they guide down by $600 million, and they did. And the answer is, maybe it's 500 million, but the answer is that they had other things that aren't working well. Dragon Age Veilguard, which got pretty good reviews. I mean, mid or low 80s, but that's good for sequels. And they said only 1.5 million players had played it, which means fewer than 1.5 million copies sold. That game typically is a 4, 5, 6 million unit seller, and I think we kind of all expected it would sell at least 3 in the initial quarter and then maybe another 2 in the March quarter. So that game explains about 200 million or so of it. Okay, so what's going on? Well, first of all, it's disconcerting that management was caught flat-footed, because in September they actually raised guidance, and at the end of October they reaffirmed that. So they really thought things were great as of October 29th. And why did things go to hell in November, December? Dragon Age launched back then. Why didn't it sell well? I don't know. That genre of game is old and tired. I don't know. People expect more. I don't know. It got good enough reviews. Shane played it, loves it. I don't see anything really wrong with the game. It's a pretty good game and really surprising. Is it marketing? Did they just miss? Are consumers past slash games and they don't want to play them anymore? I don't know the answer, but that was a surprise. But that's not a recurring problem. They just won't make any more Dragon Age. If it doesn't work anymore, fine. This year is hurt. They're fine in the future. The global football miss is pretty scary. Why down instead of up? Football Club got a new mode called Rush, and it's a 5-on-5 soccer game, player versus player. So you're playing against another team and a real person, 5-on-5. And apparently, over half of FIFA Football Club gamers are playing that mode. They like that mode. It's immensely popular. People just write about it and say how great it is. People are spending so much time on that they're not spending their time on Ultimate Team. I think that's possible. And I think that's not lasting. EA will figure that out. But you're giving it a lot of credit, because the down 5% instead of up 5% is also on unit sales of EA Sports FC. So the unit that having the rush mode and having it be so popular doesn't explain a decline in unit sales. So when I said FIFA is about 2 billion. It's about $1 billion and change of game sales, about 800 million or so annual of Ultimate Team, and about 200 million or so annual of mobile. So why would game sales be down if there's a new mode that's super popular? Like, they wouldn't be. So that really doesn't explain it. It does explain why Ultimate Team's down, and it might explain why mobile's down. Again, is it lasting? Can they fix it? Of course they can fix it. Find ways to get you to buy more card packs in Ultimate Team, and ultimately, no pun intended, they'll figure it out. I think this is a hiccup. It happened so late in the quarter, after October 29th, that I kind of believe that there's something in the core game mechanic that distracted people from spending money. It's also entirely possible that nothing goes up forever, and that Ultimate Team sales peaked in 2023, and in 2024 they were just due to come down. And being down 5% is not a big deal. And even if Ultimate Team was down 10%, it really isn't that big a deal if they can sustain it at this level. But EA stock got crushed because investors look at them as being steady Eddie, dependable. The sports franchises tend to grow a little bit every year and have. And we kind of assume that they're going to keep that up, and it looks like that's not sustainable. What's going on with Dragon Age and BioWare? I got to tell you, this was a good game and highly rated, and yet a commercial flop. And BioWare last made Anthem, which was not a good game, not highly rated, and was a commercial flop. 2 in a row tends to mean death penalty. They tend to kill franchises after that. They tend to kill studios. Now, we know they're working on Mass Effect. I suspect Mass Effect is make or break for the studio. It might be the last thing we ever see. And I also suspect that if Mass Effect is not looking good, that BioWare might go away. So, I think there's risk to that part of the business. Does that matter to EA's financial fortunes? No. If BioWare is making games that cost a couple $100 million of development to make, and they're only selling $100 million worth, which is what happened, then it's better to shut the studio down than spend $200 million to get back one. That's just a bad investment. But as far as the developers themselves and gamers having access to IP that they love, if you want games to keep coming out, you better buy the ones that they give you. And, that's fine. We may have moved past Dragon Age. I am hopeful that Mass Effect is good. I am hopeful that BioWare survives. I wouldn't put it past management to just drop the studio altogether, trim down, and just become a sports all the time and Battlefield and Apex all the time company. So we know they're committed to Battlefield. We don't know when that's coming out. We know they have a bunch of licenses with Disney between Iron Man and Black Panther and Star Wars. They canceled one of their Star Wars games, but they've got another one in development, and they have the Jedi stuff from Respawn in development. So there's going to be a lot of games coming from them, but my God, their owned IP is now down to kind of Battlefield and racing if they can't get BioWare back, to make commercial success. So what happened? Management took their eye off the ball and misjudged, how easy things were going to be. And they, like I said, they fumbled. But it's the third quarter, not the fourth quarter. They can still recover. And I think investors are going to keep them in the penalty box for a good 6 months until we hear that Battlefield is in fact coming. They tend not to guide to the year that starts April 1st of 25 until they get to the earnings call, which will be around May of 25. I don't know if we're going to get a Battlefield trailer before then. I'm hopeful Battlefield's coming. It's been a few years since 2042. Maybe not enough time. They did switch oversight of the studios to Vince and Byron Beatty. So we'll see if those guys, they're former Call of Duty guys and former Titanfall guys. So we'll see if Battlefield gets better. I'm guessing yes, it will. And I expect it's going to be a big game. They probably can afford to slip it out of this year because the stock's already gotten hammered. But if they slip it out of this year, they're going to not grow this year either, and then more emphasis can be placed on turning the global football around. Anyway, there's a lot of speculation about M&A for EA. There was some weak rumor that Andrew Wilson, the CEO, was being considered to be the CEO of Disney. That's possible. Bob Iger is in his 70s and is planning to retire at the end of 26. I think they'll promote from within, but I do think if Andrew's a candidate, that a Disney for EA acquisition makes some sense, especially now that EA is cheaper. There's been a lot of speculation about Take-Two and EA merging. I think it would be a difficult acquisition to manage because with the egos involved between the Rockstar guys and the Take-Two management versus the Respawn guys and the EA management might be tough. Might be a tough transition. So I don't really see a merger in the works. I think EA is going to have to kind of wade out of this mess that they got themselves into. I think we're probably going to have to wait 2 or 3 quarters before we know if EA Sports FC is back, if global football is back. You're not going to see an uptick in EA Sports game sales, FC game sales. You might see an uptick in Ultimate Team in the next quarter or 2, but really it all starts with selling people the game. The really easy way out of this is to pull Ultimate Team out from behind the game purchase and make Ultimate Team, something that is free to play, like Call of Duty Warzone, that doesn't require a purchase. It's hard for EA to bite down on that one. They don't really think that's a good idea. Take-Two has GTA Online behind a pay window, but when Activision pulled Warzone out from behind the pay window, boy, sales of Call of Duty Premium went up. So I really think that would happen, but again, just manage that so that the ongoing Ultimate Team is integrated well with the premium game, and you'll sell more of both. Anyway, we'll see what they do, but in the meantime, EA stock is really cheap. I maintained a really high price target because I don't think this impacts their earnings a couple of years from now. I think they right the ship. I think they're fine, but it's a tough stock to invest in now. So if you like EA, I have a buy on it. I think it's a good time to own it, but if you don't, I completely understand. So consult with your financial advisor. I have a buy on it. That's all I could say. Anyway, that's it for Pachter Factor Live for this week's edition. Thanks for joining us on SIFTD.net. And again, if you are a Patreon patron or a YouTube subscriber, we appreciate it very, very much. You're keeping Shane, afloat, and he's able to produce these things. If you are doing those or not, please try to remember to link your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch Prime account. There are instructions on how to do that in the show description below. It's really easy to do. It takes a second. It takes about 3 seconds. And you have to redo that every month or so because Amazon lets that lapse if you don't re-up it. So please do. It costs nothing except 3 seconds of your time. And if you do that, then Amazon pays us without charging you. So it's free money. You're taking it out of Amazon's pocket and giving it to Shane. Very much appreciated if you can swing that. So thanks again. We will see you next week on Pachter Factor Live.